and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have Netflix 374th film from 2018. We're going back in time a little bit. This is the legal drama called Monster. It's directed by Anthony Mandler and stars Kelvin Harrison Jr., Jennifer Ehle, Tim Blake Nelson, A$AP Rocky, John David Washington, Jennifer Hudson, and Jeffrey Wright. I am Jesse. I am your host. Thank you for joining me today for this Netflix original film that we're going to talk a little bit about how it ended up on Netflix and obviously spoil the film as we go. So if you haven't seen this film and you're keen on checking it out, please give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because we start the show with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one's about a boy who's on trial for accessory to murder, but he claims he didn't do it. Oh, intrigue. That is what this film is about. So around the world, this film in English is Monster. Around the world, it is Monster pretty much everywhere, except in Japan, it has a subtitle. It's called Monster Behind Those Eyes. And in Chinese, it's called Beast. So maybe there's not really a literal translation there, but this is about Monster. This is about a line of dialogue in the film where our main protagonist is sort of looked in the eye by one of the lawyers calling him a monster. And I guess the question of this film is he really a monster? But let's keep going. So we're going to talk about how this one did debut at Sundance in 2018. So at Sundance, it actually played, the title of the film was called All Rise. We'll talk more, but it changed back to Monster for the Netflix release. The tagline for this film is, "No one has any idea who I am." Not bad. A little bit ambiguous, but not too bad. So this is based on the book titled Monster, which was published in April of 1999 by HarperCollins. It's a young adult drama novel by an American author called Walter Dean Myers. It was nominated for lots of awards. It was nominated for the 1999 National Book Award for Young People's Literature. It won the Michael L. Prince Award in 2000 and was named a Coretta Scott King Award honor the same year. The author, as a young man, Myers, he struggled with a speech impairment that caused many of his classmates and teachers to ridicule him and think that he was unintelligent. He often got in trouble at school for selling drugs on the streets. When trying to defend himself against the ridicule, many labeled him as a monster, just like how the protagonist in the film, Steve, is labeled a monster too. Later in his life, while he was working as a construction worker, Myers decided to follow advice given to him by his high school writing teacher and began writing at night after work, just as the character Steve Harmon writes throughout the film. The film, it did premiere in the US Dramatic Competition section at the 2018 Sundance Film Festival. That was in 2018. So in 2019 of April, it was announced that Entertainment Studios had acquired the distribution rights to the film. And then we go to November of 2022, where Netflix then picked up the distribution rights with the title being Monster. It was released on their service on the 7th of May 2021. I think you just probably need to be mindful if you are looking for this film online, or especially on Netflix. Netflix do have this listed as a 2021 film. So that is this 2018 film. The screenplay for the film was written by Rada Black, who wrote, directed, produced, and starred in the Netflix original film, which gathered lots of acclaim, called The 40-Year-Old Version. We have covered that film on this show as well, so if you're interested, search through our catalogue and have a listen to that one if you've seen that film. Or, if you haven't seen the film, I do recommend to go and watch it too. The novel, there's always changes between novels and film adaptations. By the look of things in this one, in the novel, Steve's lawyer didn't believe he was innocent. However, in the film, which is depicted, I would say, as believing he is innocent and fighting as hard as she possibly can for him. Also, in the book, Steve didn't have a girlfriend, where he does in the film, which we'll probably talk about as we move on. So, as I said before, this was released at Sundance on the 22nd of May 2018, Netflix from the 7th of May 2021. It's a New York City story. This was nominated at the Sundance Awards for the Dramatic Grand Jury Prize for the director Anthony Mandler. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? On Rotten Tomatoes, it sits at 68%. That is on 68 reviews, so that is fresh. On the lower end of the fresh side. Audience a little bit higher, 75%. On IMDb, it sits at a 6.5 out of 10 on 6.9 thousand ratings. Letterboxd, high as well, 3.3 out of 5 on 11,000 ratings. bang on exactly 11,000 ratings as time of recording. It's been logged by 14,000 people. And then Metacritic, it's a little bit lower. It's a 56 out of 100 on 18 reviews on that traffic light system of green, yellow, and red. That's yellow, that's in the middle. And the audience has it at a 6.4 out of 10 on 10 reviews. So that is in the green, so a little bit higher from audiences rather than critics. What are my early thoughts on this film? It's on your nose a lot of the time. And I guess like a lot of films that were released from this era, 2018 onwards, that first post-Trump era, it's similar themes, similar ideas, but it's effective and it doesn't overstay its welcome. The runtime is quite tight and works to its advantage. Let's talk about the characters, some of the characters in this film. So I've sort of touched a little bit. Steve's our main character. He's the kid who got tied up in this bodega or a service store, a little grocer on the corner of a street, gets tied up in a botched armed robbery where there is a murder that occurs. And this is a kid who's the complete opposite of the guys that are involved in that. He is a pretty normal kid. He's got two loving parents. They live a fairly well-off life, pretty privileged realistically. He's studying at a pretty high-end film school. He's got high ambitions. This is a kid who's got his head screwed on tightly and knows what he wants to do. So it is a surprise to all of those close to him when he is arrested for murder and has to deal with those consequences of being in prison, trying to prove his innocence to a jury, trying to work with a lawyer who has hundreds of other cases that she's trying to do for the same thing and probably hasn't seen much success because of the fact that this is an African-American kid who, based on the media and based on society, is condemned before they're even given their chance to speak. His parents, Renetta and Percy. So Renetta is played by Jennifer Hudson and Percy played by Jeffrey Wright. So these are two talented actors. They are a little bit wasted in this film. They don't get much time. They're almost given this one scene each, which is this, this is your nomination scene where if you want an Oscar for a supporting character, this is your one scene. And it's their opportunity to show their chops. And that's almost about it, really. I mean, we do get some good facial expressions from Percy, from Jeffrey Wright throughout, but they play the background. And I guess that's part of the story. This is Steve's story. Maureen, she's Steve's lawyer in the film. She clearly wants him to be found not guilty. She believes him, that's my opinion, in the film version of this as well. We do see Leroy Sawicki. This is Steve's film school teacher. He offers wisdom throughout. Some of the scenes, like as I said before, there's a lot of on-your-nose stuff. His scenes were very on-your-nose, but I enjoyed them, and he does rock up in the courtroom towards the end, which is nice as well. The other three culprits, I guess, we've got King, we've got Bobo, and we've got Cruz. So King is almost a friend at various stages in the film to Steve. Bobo is King's cousin, and then Cruz is this guy that picks on Steve throughout the film as well. And I think Steve, sort of to push the idea of innocence, says that he barely knows these guys, especially King, even though in flashbacks we've seen the two of them hanging out quite a bit as well. And this angers King a bit as well about respect and trust. And Bobo and Cruz, they're just these other two. They're sort of there to flesh out the situation as well. The director, Anthony Mandler, this is his first feature film narrative, but very well known in the music scene. If we look at musicians and music video clips and video films that he's done for artists, these include Taylor Swift, Jay-Z, The Weeknd, The Killers, Drake, Muse, Usher, Lenny Kravitz, the Jonas Brothers, Shawn Mendes, Shakira, Jennifer Lopez, Selena Gomez, and also Rihanna, who I think has done all of her music video clips, 15 in total. And obviously, I think in a lot of things online, says that he almost helped to create part of her visual style as well. Let's talk about some scenes. What worked, what didn't work. I haven't got an awful lot. I've just got two for each. So things that I liked. I think I liked the classroom scenes where Steve's with his teacher, especially the first one in the class where they're talking about the idea of people moving and in film and being beautiful isn't just enough, and artists have stories to tell, and if you don't feel that ache to share a story, that you haven't found your story yet. I like that too. Then there was another scene later on where the teachers are showing Rashomon as a film, and I know it's on the nose, but I still like the idea of two different versions of the same event, different perspective, different people's point of view, and for me that's the best thing about film, is that people can walk away with a different interpretation, and they are completely right. The other thing I liked, Steve is in prison at one stage, and his dad rocks up to talk to him, and just before his dad goes on this big rant, he asks his dad, do you believe me that I didn't do it? And there's just this nod, and it leaves the audience questioning, like, what does he actually think? I thought that was well done. Things that didn't necessarily work, I think there's a scene where Steve and his dad and his brother Jerry, I think it was, were sitting in the lounge room talking about superheroes and what superheroes they wanted to be. And I get that idea of dreaming and things like that, but it didn't really mean anything. You had one say, yeah, Black Panther and Superman and Batman, and you could be my Robin because we're brothers. It just didn't work for me. It didn't mean much. And the other one, Steve's mum, when she visits him in prison and she sits down at him and recites the Bible and passages with him. This was Jennifer Hudson's moment to shine, and for me, it just didn't nail it. It didn't work, especially if they had all these intercuts of the prisoners meeting with other people as if they're staring at them, looking at them. I don't know, it just felt weird. Themes, ideas, what's this film trying to say? An awful lot, like I said, in your face, the idea of the injustices of young black men and how they face them, especially at the hands of police and the court system too. Through Steve, there's that idea of identity and race and peer pressure and dehumanization in prison and crime and how to deal with it and teenage masculinity and we've said this too, that the relative or subjective nature of truth, what is truth, because everyone has their story too. And that ties in too with the unreliable nature of memory at times as well. And Steve, this proves this, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. What is good company? Who keeps good company? And who can you trust? And finally, that idea of greys, it's in the voiceover again, so you can't miss it, but the courtroom is really grey compared to the flashbacks of Steve using his camera and being out and about. And Steve refers to this and this justice system that wants a black and white answer. I thought that was nice too. What did I take away from this? I think I probably said this in the scenes that I liked as well, but the whole film student elements of Steve, the flashbacks of him coming up with his story and meeting people and getting footage, I thought that was all done really nicely. I thought that was good. Some questions, some pondering, some ideas, some thoughts about this film. Steve as the unreliable narrator. This film is his perspective, and we've got to take that on board, I guess, that we've got everyone else in the courtroom testifies to say that he was there at this situation. And I'm probably going to go into pretty heavy spoiler territory very soon, but this is his perspective. This is his version of events. And we do get a little bit more of a truth towards the end about how it may have been interpreted that he was giving a signal towards the people to come in to do the robbery. But I think that was interesting. I did mention before that Steve's girlfriend was added to the film and wasn't in the book, and I almost think this is a bad move. There was no need for her. It's not like she was there at any stage to support him while he was locked up or after he was out. It was just, I don't know, it just gave him opportunities to get more footage and tell his story, but she disappeared. So that was a bit frustrating. And then I'll bring this back to the end. Like, Steve, obviously being a filmmaker, and his argument was that when he was leaving the bodega, he's standing, he stops, he looks at the light, he puts his hand up to look at the light to sort of, as a filmmaker. And this was interpreted as a signal to say, it's all clear, you can come and rob the place. And was he actually doing it? Was he scared? The guys took his bike. Was this him going, yep, come, I want my bike back? Or was this him actually just looking at the light and chickening out? And this, I guess it doesn't really matter whether he was doing it or not, because he's going to feel guilt and guilty for the rest of his life. And it doesn't, it does matter because someone died from it, but the idea that as a person, is Steve a monster? I guess that's what you've got to go with. And that idea, I know, it's tricky because I was a little bit surprised, I guess, with the ending of the film. I thought it was just going to be a clear cut, he's innocent, let him out, or he's guilty. He's actually innocent, but he's found guilty and left in prison. So I sort of guess I like the idea that they've left that a little bit open-ended too. And they do leave it with a voiceover again to finish it off too. But anyway, let's wrap this up. We give the film a rating out of 5. For me, this film, it's nothing new, but it's effective. And as an audience, you're patiently waiting to see where the court case will go. And I think I was surprised with where it went, as I sort of said before. I thought it was going to be a black or white ending. And it was great, I guess. Like, the film played along with the whole way, so I shouldn't have been surprised. But I'm giving this a 3 out of 5. Solid film. We are on socials. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And we're on X, formerly known as Twitter. Follow along. Give us a like if you can. The question for this episode that I wanted to ask was, is Steve a monster? And that's the question he leaves the audience with at the end of the film too. Is he a monster? Did he do the wrong thing? Should he have been mature enough, old enough, strong enough to leave his bike behind and say, no, sorry, I'm not going to do this for you, and just leave? It's a tough one, isn't it? It's really tough. Intimidation, fear. What do you do when you're in a situation like that? Tricky. Anyway, what are your thoughts? let us know. Other than that, we are back next week. We're back next week with a French science fiction psychological thriller called Oxygen, or in French, it's Oxygène. It's directed by Alexandre Ayer and stars Melanie Laurent, Matteo Amalric, and Malik Zidi. So take the time to give that one a watch before next episode if you're interested. We will be covering that. And other than that, thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next week.